Howdy, hostages, or should I say, bonjour mes hostages de la nuit, bienvenue à la Louvre. It's Haussmann, bonjour. Je m'appelle Haussmann Comics. I don't speak French. I'm here at the Louvre in France to talk about one of France's greatest superheroes. In fact, France's only greatest superhero, Peragrin. It's actually a character I've always had an affinity for, but never actually looked into very much, so I was excited to write this video. Back in 1982, we got our first real Marvel Comics event in Contest of Champions. Of course, people will say that Secret Wars was the first event, but this predates that by a couple of years. And I guess it depends on your definition of event. Anyway, the Contest of Champions was a 3-issue miniseries in which the Grandmaster and Death abducted every single hero on Earth to pit them against each other in a high-stakes game. And in bringing in every single hero, we got to see a lot of fresh new international faces like Shamrock, Blitzkrieg, Talisman, Defensor, and Peregrine. Both Death and the Grandmaster would select 12 heroes, and they would battle 3v3 style to find a shiny prize. In the end, it was the Grandmaster who was successful, and his brother, the Collector, is resurrected. But Grandmaster's life is taken in exchange. And the heroes are all returned without missing a beat. Now that that's out of the way, we can focus on Peregrine. He's a French bird-themed hero who got chosen by the Grandmaster's team. Peregrine is teamed up with Wolverine and the Thing, so right off the bat he's rubbing feathers with some real all-stars. And they have to face off against Black Panther, the Angel, and Vanguard. Obviously, the Flyers will go toe-to-toe, wing to wing, and we see right away that even though Peregrine is a new character, he isn't a rookie crime fighter, and he's flying circles around the Angel. And flying is his whole thing. Peregrine has developed his speciality of combining flying with the martial arts. At this point, Peregrine asks Angel if that's impressive enough for him to maybe join the X-Men one day. So that potentially means he's a mutant. Although this book actually came with some little info blurbs at the back that did say he used an anti-gravity flying harness thing. So probably not a mutant. Angel does manage to beat him, but only on a wing and a prayer. Though Peregrine's team was ultimately victorious, and the Marvel world was introduced to a new French superhero. Let's keep going and see how he was used afterwards. His debut year, he appeared alongside literally everyone else in Incredible Hulk number 379. And then 3 years later, he joined all the other world heroes to repel a dire wraith attack in ROM number 65. It seems a little bleak, but trust me, Peregrine got off so much better than a lot of the other international heroes introduced in Contest of Champions. 3 more years would pass, and in Solo Avengers number 6, Hawkeye and Peregrine are both hired by Silver Sable to rescue another operative and retrieve a deadly device from the second Red Skull. Again, we see that the champion of France is no rookie, and he and Hawkeye actually work quite well with each other. Hawkeye even refers to him as the most famous crime fighter in France. And makes him an honorary Avenger for the duration of the fight. Though they did give him a bit of a purple color scheme here instead of his traditional dark blue-black, and it kind of clashes with Hawkeye. I liked it better in the black, and from here on out, kind of over the years, it'll be interchangeable between the purple and the black. And what we're talking about is look, like I like his head sock cowl thing because it's bird-like and it's actually vaguely reminiscent of the Battle of the Planets. But it's a bird, like a peregrine falcon. That's where his name comes from, Peregrine. I'll talk more about his name later. Hawkeye and Peregrine rescue the missing operative, and it turns out to be the Sandman. God, I really do have to make that video on Sandman and his run as a hero. Anyway, the heroes end up saving the day. Though, where was Peregrine when Hawkeye and Sandman battled terrorists at the French airport in the next issue? Marvel Comics Presents number 51 gives us a short story where Peregrine takes another job from the Silver Sable. It's a pretty stock standard tale, but we get a real chance to see Peregrine on his own. We learn that he is independently wealthy, and he has all kinds of tricks like gas grenades, thermite grenades, taser darts, and a napalm bola. And really, I don't care what you're attaching napalm to, it doesn't matter. Napalm is napalm. Doesn't matter if it's on an arrow, or a stick, or a lollipop. Like, what it's attached to does not matter in the end. It's napalm. And as we already knew, Peregrine has got moves, but dude can outmaneuver gunship gunners. And I love the concept of these old Marvel Comics Presents. Like, they don't exist anymore. I think they tried to bring it back a few times, but what it was like 4 or 5 or 6, like just short stories, 8 pages, 10 pages, 11 pages of different heroes. Obviously Wolverine was there for most of them in the cover, and that's all that is on Marvel Unlimited, the app. You gotta search elsewhere for the other stories, but you got these backup stories with like Sunfire, with Peregrine, with Speedball, like with these characters that weren't headliners. You got to have creators just come in and try something with them. I really miss it, and I wish they would bring it back. Not that I read modern comics anymore anyway. Next up for France's premier crime fighter was Canada's elite super team Alpha Flight in issue number 108.
Alpha Flight is heading to Europe for the Pan-European Conference on Superhuman Affairs, and Le Peregrine is kind of the spokesman for all the European heroes. Though he is going a tad Pepe Le Pew hitting on Guardian,
who was a female at the time. Like a different character entirely.
But when can a meeting of superheroes ever go off without a hitch? Brain Drain has brainwashed all of the European heroes to attack politicians, and Alpha Flight has to split up to take them each on one at a time. Sasquatch gets tasked with Le Peregrine.
And I do love the detail here of Sasquatch talking to Peregrine in French while they're battling, because Sasquatch is a Canadian, though not all Canadians speak French. Like, je ne parle pas français. I don't speak French in French, because I don't speak French, and I'm Canadian.
Peregrine does get his licks in, but he ultimately goes down to the gamma-radiated furball of the north.
It's the Arc de Triomphe, and I bet Le Peregrine has flown up there before.
Now back to Marvel Comics Presents, so Le Peregrine can mix it up with another Canadian in 8 issues, 124 through 130.
This is probably where Le Peregrine would get the most development. First of all, they reveal the martial art he is an expert in is savate. Savate? It's a French style of kickboxing. They also reveal that he is a writer by profession, and that is apparently where he's gained most of his wealth. Enough to proclaim himself the 5th richest man in the world, though I've never seen him on any of the richest Marvel characters lists. Also, by now, he's a little less of a superhero and a full-fledged mercenary, even if that means kidnapping a girl and handing her over to obviously bad men. Wolverine was also tracking that girl, and one of my favorite parts is that Logan finds Alain. Yes, he's given a proper name here as well. It's Alain Racine. Anyway, Logan finds him because he logged a flight path. Now, I assume he actually took a plane, but I do find it funny to think about him charting a flight path with his little suit. Also, while Contest of Champions isn't mentioned, Le Peregrine does seem to have familiarity with Wolverine, which I think is a nice touch. They get attacked by a weird glob monster, forcing Le Peregrine to don his flight harness while still wearing only a towel. Black Widow also gets involved, and Peregrine turns around and does the right thing, and the villains are brought down. The girl is recovered safely and then left in the woods to live her life awaiting Logan to return to be her mate. But that's a tale for another time. 8 years would pass before Thunderbolts number 57 and 58, in which Graviton has captured nearly every hero on the planet and is hanging them upside down. That includes Le Peregrine. The Thunderbolts save the day and free everyone. And that includes Le Peregrine. In Avengers number 46, Le Peregrine can be seen defending the border of France during the Kang War. After that was Civil War Battle Damage Report, where it was mentioned that after the Thing and Daredevil successfully fled to France, other unregistered Americans tried to do the same. And since France doesn't have many superheroes, they've hired mercenaries like Le Peregrine to assist in preventing illegal superpowered refugees from entering into their great nation. Next up was Fear Itself Black Widow, where Le Peregrine is brought in to support the Black Widow on her mission.
He seems to have no regard for centuries-old stained glass windows. Also, they set a lot of France on fire. And then came Scarlet Witch number 6 by James Robinson and Marguerite Sauvage. Like, I'm all for someone taking a minor character and changing them up and doing things in a different direction, but at least have the essence of the character. Like, you know, it worked really good for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like Groot, Rocket Raccoon, Peter Quill, like all of them were kind of reinvented, brought out of obscurity, and became this big thing. It can work. And they tried it here, I think, or they just completely didn't understand what Le Peregrine was.
For instance, Le Peregrine uses a flight suit, not wings. He's never mentioned having a wife, and he's actually usually pretty forward about his hitting on women. But then here in The Scarlet Witch, they tell a great story, I do get that, but reading it strictly from the point of view of the guy who just read all 19 other appearances of Le Peregrine, this is terrible. So Le Peregrine, who has wings now and a completely different costume, is depressed because his wife died. That's completely understandable. She died in a car accident while he was off fighting crime elsewhere. It's not really his fault, but he feels that he failed to protect her and now he can't take off anymore. So the Scarlet Witch tracks him down to help. She allows the spirit of his dead wife Adele to speak to Le Peregrine, and once he sees that she's a spirit, well, he tries to join her if you catch my meaning. But Wanda helps him not do that, and Adele tells him that he must live, because one day he will face a threat to the entire planet, and he will be the one to save everyone's life. And then after that, he can fly again. I mean, I know it's cliche to be like, you must live so I can live on through you or whatever, but a ghost telling him that his future is saving the world? That's dumb. It's Le Peregrine. And it's not some new character they're calling Le Peregrine. They straight up say this is Alain Racine.
No, it's dumb. I don't like it. I hate it. There's so many other characters they could have chosen for this, or they could have changed just a few simple things and used Le Peregrine still properly, but they did not. But at least, I will say, give credit where credit's due. They did use his proper name, Le Fauchon Pèlerin, which is what his name would be in France, Le Peregrine Falcon. Because Le Peregrine does not make grammatical sense en français.
US Avengers number 7 ignores his new look, thank God, and has him alongside the champions of Europe, Captain Britain, Ares, Outlaw, Guillotine, and Excalibur. They're just doing what they can to battle Hydra and team up with some of Sunspot's Avengers team to do it. We later see many of them unconscious during the War of the Realms as well. And finally, his most recent appearance is in Marvel's number 3. It's a retelling of the complete history of the Marvel Universe in one series. Anyway, in issue number 3, Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are in the jungles of Southeast Asia, looking for monsters, and they're joined by French and American soldiers, including Batroc, George Tarleton, who would eventually become MODOK, and Craig Simpson, who would be the man to raise Johnny Blaze before he became the Ghost Rider, and of course, Alain Racine, the future Le Peregrine.
Yeah, they really shoehorned a lot in there. He didn't do anything special. He just kind of appeared. I guess maybe you can add that he was doing some soldiering or special forces before his mercenary days, but like I said, it was just a name that was kind of picked out of a hat and thrown in there. Anyway, it's the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. And get up in the morning and hop on a train and go to Belgium. So, thanks for sticking with me on this world tour. Stay Haussy. Subscribe to my channel and stay Haussy. This is so embarrassing.
So as you are probably aware, my name is Haussmann, Haussmann. I personally took it from a drill years ago, but then later I discovered that there was this dude in France named Baron Georges Haussmann, and then even later I discovered there was a Haussmann Boulevard in Paris. So obviously I had to walk from one end of that to the other, and that is another impetus for this whole trip, was just to see Haussmann Boulevard. So that's the pictures you're looking at right now. Like this video. Haussmann Boulevard. Anyway. Yeah. Going to Belgium next week, so bone up on your Belgish superheroes. Or villains. It's a villain. Next week's video is a villain. Stay Haussy, you guys.